As a coach, your behavior and understanding the behavior of your clients is really important to helping them to achieve the results that they desire, and for you to step up and be the very best coach that you can be. Now, in terms of behaviour, of course, we've got so many tools available at our disposal to help us really understand and get a deep insight into how our clients prefer to behave, how they prefer to show up in different situations. So, we have these behavioural continuums. We have things like disc profiling, Myers-Briggs, we have Hogan reports, all based, of course, fundamentally on Jungian psychology. And when we understand where our clients sit in terms of, for example, extroversion or introversion, where their preference lies in terms of whether they're more of a thinking preference or a feeling preference, whether they have a motivation that is more away from what they don't want or towards what they do want, we have valuable information to be able to coach them, to be able to task them really effectively, and to be able to really understand what it is that makes them tick. Now, I was really thinking and reflecting on the behaviours on the continuum over the last week or so as we've been putting the final touches on the Mindset Dimensions report. Of course, one of the dimensions is behaviour. One of the things that we do measure in the report is the behavioural continuum. And I was really thinking about, okay, well, if I had to create two behaviours, either end of the spectrum, that were part of a coach's behavioural continuum, what would they be? And I realised pretty quickly that the answer was obvious. It is, at one end, we have coach as cheerleader, and at the other end, we have coach as detective. Now, each of these traits, of course, are really beneficial when you are coaching, and each bring different things to the table. And where do you need to be on that continuum, on the cheerleader detective continuum, in order to be very effective, as in order to step up and be the best coach that you can be? And in today's episode, I'm really going to explore each of these elements so that you can kind of decide and plot yourself. Where are you? Are you more a coach who is a cheerleader, or are you more a coach who is a detective, or do you sit somewhere in between? Now, let's take cheerleader as coach first of all. Now, cheerleader as coach is someone who is in their client's corner 100%. They are the kind of coach that says things like, go for it, or you've got this. They're someone who wholeheartedly shows their support for whatever it is that their client wants to do, that shows their support whatever their client wants to achieve, and is really there every single step of the way. The cheerleader coach is a coach who says things, you can almost see them out there on the sidelines of their client's life, on the edge of the playing field, with the pom-poms in hand, leaping about every time there's a move in the right direction towards that goal. And when they do achieve a goal, or where they do score a goal, brilliant. The cheerleader goes wild. They're encouraging the crowd to do so as well. And it is helping, I guess, the client's motivation to remain high. They know they've got someone in the corner. You can always count on cheerleader coach. Cheerleader coach also gives a lot of their time and energy to their client. So they're always there giving lots and lots of feedback. They're always there saying, come on then, let's go, what's next? The cheerleader coach is there egging and spurring their client on at every opportunity. Maybe cheerleader coach is someone who uses Voxer a lot, or lots of messaging. Cheerleader coach is always highlighting to the client their positive points. They're always saying, well done, go you, etc. Cheerleader coach can be a little bit annoying sometimes, because cheerleader coach is incredibly positive. Cheerleader coach really likes to focus on what is in front of her or him. They really like to focus on the immediate, the obvious when it comes to the client, and they really are into celebrating those successes. Cheerleader coach also knows that there is one routine that they do. There is a routine that they know that's tried and tested, and they follow that formula no matter what is actually happening for their client. They are very, very intent on making sure that that routine starts with a flying high kick and it ends with a pom-pom flourish every single time, no matter what happens. Let's look at the other end of the spectrum. Now, this is the detective coach, the coach as detective, the coach who actually is really interested in getting to the heart of the matter. They are a bit like Columbo, just one more thing. They like to get to understand exactly what's going on for their client. They'll leave no stone unturned. Think Miss Marple, think Hercule Poirot. Think of those famous detectives that that really will not stop until they unearth what is really going on. What is the problem? Who actually committed the murder? Now, the detective coach brings so many wonderful qualities to the table. They are really interested in what makes their client tick. They want to understand completely, how is the client doing the problem? How long have they been doing the problem for? Is this a pattern in the client's life? Is this thing that they're doing at the moment that's not working for them something they've been doing for a long time? Are they doing it in other areas of their lives as well? The detective coach really likes to ask a lot of questions before they even begin. They like to observe. They like to observe their client's body language. They like to understand what the client is saying and what the client is not saying. They like to mind the gap between what they're hearing and what's not being said. They like to ask those killer questions that really get to the heart of the matter. The detective coach really is someone who likes to lay the groundwork. They do the preparation and they really understand what's going on for their clients, so that when the change work begins, it is so much more powerful because they're actually working in the right way with the client as they are. They're working with the facts in front of them. Now, it's interesting because you can see there's a lot of tension already, can't you, between the cheerleader coach, rah, 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 and the detective coach. Let me just ask you one more question. And it's fascinating for me as someone who is a behavioural specialist to look at these two different ends of the spectrum, and especially I guess when it comes to mindset coaching as well, because if we look at the cheerleader coach is much more likely to be the kind of coach who wants to give their clients tasks to do, like creating vision boards and journaling and positive talking, like using positive self-talk all the time. Detective coach is much more likely to give their client tasks which revolve around further exploring, reframing a problem, to really ask themselves the deep and hard questions, when they are coaching. Detective coach is more likely to put the onus of responsibility back on their client. Who's driving the bus? In what way have you created this problem? How have you contributed to it? Now, it's interesting because I think when we are looking at mindset, particularly where we really want to help our clients, is to help them understand themselves really deeply, not to gloss over, not to cheerlead every single thing, but actually to have sufficient rapport, sufficient of the cheerleader in us that they know that we've got their back, right? Our clients want to know that we're supporting them, that we're there for them, but they also want the detective in us too, right? They want us to get to know them really deeply. They want us to really understand and uncover things, maybe even at the unconscious level, that they hadn't even realized before. They want us to be someone who's credible by their side, who is going to go that extra mile, who is going to ask the challenging questions, who is maybe going to cause a little bit of discomfort from time to time as they explore possibilities, as they examine their own role in their current circumstances in their lives. People don't come to coaching because they want someone who is going to be, really, really over effusive, like the cheerleader in all her get up or his get up. They want someone who's going to be able to say to them, look, what you're doing at the moment is currently not working for you. Sure, there might be some bits that are working, but what we really want to understand is, how are you doing the problem at the moment? How are you maintaining that problem? And what do you really need to change? What do we need to examine sufficiently enough that we know that there are things that you need to change? What about your identity do you need to change? What about your environment? What about your skills and capabilities? What about beliefs do you need to change? What values? What behaviours do you need to change? And so the detective is very much more is very much better equipped to be able to do those things, to work in that way with the client than the cheerleader coach is. So I want you to think about it, like, where are you on the spectrum? Are you more cheerleader, rah, rah, rah? Do you need to be more detective? Are you really hard and fast detective and maybe need to infuse a little bit of cheerleader in your coaching practice? Because at the end of the day, as coaches, ultimately what we want for our clients is for them to get results. And I hear so many times coaching clients come to me who've been to other coaches and they haven't got results because, sure, the coach has been very supportive, but they've been too much in cheerleader mode. They've been ignoring and not even interested in or not even understanding what's really going on for the client at the deep level. They just want the client to learn their cheerleading routine and get on that bandwagon, get their pom-poms out and go rah rah, rather than actually spending the time that the detective takes to get out their pad and paper, to make those intensive notes, to come back time and time again and ask those probing questions, to unlock those unconscious and conscious resources that the client has to be able to create those solutions and move forward, to be able to clear up anything that's holding them back, those blocks that hold our clients back from getting to where they want to be. And whenever we're coaching at face value, we're never ever going to get to where our clients to where they need to be. We're never going to get the information that we need to be effective either. So if you're someone who is maybe feeling a little bit afraid of asking those probing questions, you don't want to go to the detective you don't want to step into that detective persona of asking lots and lots of questions and feeling you're pushy towards your client. Look, you can do that beautifully in rapport when you have rapport, and if you don't do it, you're not doing your clients any favors at all. So think about it. Where are you on that continuum, on that behavioral continuum, from cheerleader coach to detective coach? And what do you need to develop in your own coaching behavior that will enable you to really help your clients to get even more results? Where do you need to become more detective? And this is my call to you today, is yes, be a bit of a cheerleader, but the most important thing that you can be as a coach is a detective, because once you know exactly what is going on with your client, with their behaviors, their thoughts, their habits, the way they perceive themselves in the world around them, their identity. When you really understand those things, that's when you can start to truly help them to make real lasting change in their lives and in their businesses. And that's what we do at the Mindset Coach Academy. We really equip coaches to be the very best coaches that they can be, to be that detective who's really interested and intrigued with what's really going on under the surface, with really understanding what makes their clients tick. And when we couple all of those skills with the Mindset Dimensions report, which is our mindset diagnostic tool, you really are able as a coach to have that in-depth knowledge and to be able to really work with your clients on what is going on for them, to have all your questions answered so that you can then move forward and create that real transformation. And of course, add in that little mix of cheerleader as well, depending on your preference for where you sit as a coach on the cheerleader and detective scale. Really been great chatting with you today, and I look forward to seeing you again in next week's episode. Bye for now.